I think of marriage as a garden. You have to tend to it. Respect it, take care of it, feed it. Make sure everyone is getting the right amount of, sunlight. Burning natural gas will not save us from climate change. It's the same as burning any other carbon-based fuel. I became really aware that when you're making a movie, you're making it 3 times. You're making it when you're writing it. You're making it when you're shooting it. And then you're remaking it again when you're editing it. I always like having kid energy around. I think it's good for a movie, even when you're doing dramatic stuff. After the brain tumor happened, I realized I love acting. I've always loved it. I may never get a chance to do it again. Whoever controls your energy controls your destiny. 100% renewable energy is 100% American. It's easy to do nothing, but your heart breaks a little more every time you do. Climate change is the greatest threat to our existence in our short history on this planet. Nobody's going to buy their way out of its effects. Love conquers all. Love is the grace that transcends any kind of injustice in the end. You can tell a lot about a person by what's on their playlist. Also, stick around. Don't lose your heart, just keep going, keep at it. People who are slavish to a fantasy ideology become very lonely in the world. It's very alienating, and sometimes reality is very threatening to this magical way of thinking. On the other hand, if it is a politician or leader that chooses for whatever reason to remain, people say funny things all the time during really serious moments in life. I didn't like the distance between my family and myself that I was experiencing from having to work all the time. When you have to fight for the things you love, you have to measure the value of those things in ways you may not in any other way. It is a fact that up to 7 million people a year are dying from fossil fuel pollution. It is a fact that we are already dealing with the catastrophe of climate change in places like California, where people have been burnt out of their homes and where they are dealing with record droughts. But the relationships that I see work, as long as they're telling the truth and saying the things that you don't ever want to have to say to another human being. Nothing anyone says in a bar is true. As an actor, you want to remain vulnerable. You don't want to always have all the answers, and you want to be fine doing things in the moment with your fellow actors. It is a fact that many of the wars and conflicts happening all over the world are aggravated or fought strictly for geopolitical fossil fuel energy interests, and many of the world's most dangerous regimes are funded by fossil fuel dollars. We are turning our grief into winnable actions. I don't understand how people can take a gentle, loving life and treat it with such cruelty. There's a misperception about actors that we actually choose the roles we end up doing. It's more that we're chosen for them. The idea of selling is a projection that people create about people that is more of a reflection of who they are than what is actually happening in front of them with the artist. Actors, you kind of have these ebbs and flows. These moments where you're in your glory, where you're really cracking, and moments where you're not. The problem to me is violence. It's not cool to kill somebody or hurt people. Trying to find the story within the story was hard. Filmmaking is such a reductive process in a strange way, and you keep whittling away to what is essential. When you're trying to do character work that's different from what people expect from you, you're sort of in territory that is uncharted, and you don't know how it's playing all the time. I know what it's like to have these big multinational corporations invade your land and promise jobs and promise it's gonna be safe, and then you see the consequences. Each role, I feel like, takes you on a different journey based on who the character is. I haven't had such an overwhelmingly positive response as I have from the normal heart directly to me. And it's a blessing. If this is it, if I have a piano dropped on me tomorrow, then I would go down thinking, you know what? I did okay as far as my career goes, because that's a gift. That's rare. Some of my favorite scenes aren't in the movie, because you, at some point, realize that your responsibility as director is purely to the story. It's not to your pleasure.